This dude's gonna die before he's 40. I mean, I hope not, but like, seriously, look at him. How old is he now, like 21? He looks like someone that ate Sam Sulik. He looks like that big ass fish from SpongeBob with no neck. He looks like Larry the Lobster. He looks like if SpongeBob did that arm thing, but to like the rest of his body. I haven't even been watching SpongeBob or anything, I just respect it as an institution. The fact is, this guy's never gonna stop. There's some intangible idea that he's chasing that's ingrained deep enough within his psyche that it motivates him to stack up and push 300 pounds of metal around every day. Forever. There's a reason these guys don't stop once they get that action figure body. There's also a reason that most of these guys only quit once they literally die or are rendered like physically incapable of bodybuilding anymore, as a result usually of having their vertebrae fused together, so they can't even turn around to wipe their hiney. Which, to be honest, is something I feel like isn't talked about very much. Like, how do massive people clean themselves effectively? Like, on both ends of the scale, even if you're fat or like muscular, I feel like you run into the same problems. There's a lesson in there somewhere. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it's there. Like, I know for a fact they aren't. They're not wiping all the way. Really. If you think, I mean, if you look at just how their arms, like, they can't even like do that. So then it's like, how would you? It's like, we'll continue. Let's talk about what makes these guys tick. Game. So life is hopefully going to be a long adventure, and it's easy to get caught up in this mindset of goal setting and achievement hunting, and once I hit a 225 PR on a bench, then I'll be enough. And I don't even know if that's a lot. I don't go to the gym, but you know, I guess it sounds like a lot. Neil Gaiman wrote, gay man, the price of getting what you want is getting what once you wanted. Once you achieve this, a gay man. So once you achieve the goalpost is moved, and a new one takes its place, and this cycle kind of continues forever and ever. And I think that's why guys like this exist, because they're playing an infinite game. There's no end to this idea of bodybuilding because you can't ever be done building it. There will never be a time where they're like, okay, yeah, I think this is the physique I wanted when I started out. Because they hit that like 5 years ago. And now the dream has like been perverted, and it's the game engine is struggling to keep up because all standard objectives have been met. So it just spits out like AI generated goals like, what if we get so big that it's hard to breathe? What if we get so big that like we're like smoking, like that guy in the gym? Now, I also don't want to shit on bodybuilding or Sam Sulik, and not just because I feel like he could hurt me. I actually think his content is a breath of fresh air on this like oversaturated, overproduced current stage of the internet. And we have the same birthday, so I feel like we could be friends. But I do think this type of like extreme bodybuilding is a good analogy to explore the mind's relationship with contentment and how our identity is often wrapped up in an ever-furthering idea of who we are. Something like intangible that we can't really touch, but maybe one day. It's off in the future. This notion of finding identity and achievement can go one of two ways. You can either get so wrapped up in conquering your goals that you essentially get lost inside of them, forgetting why you're doing it and equating the value of achievement with your value as a person, getting lost in the sauce as it were. Or, en route to accomplishing all that you dream, you find that the true accomplishment was the friends we made along the way. Climbing the mountain is only one part of it. You have to actually remember the journey and find value in that. Let's talk about it. Ah! Alright, we're gonna see if this camera doesn't fall down. I hope it doesn't. Okay, fucking immediately. Okay. Hey. Alright, so I had kind of a script for this, and I don't remember it because that was like 2 weeks ago when I wrote that. So we're gonna freestyle. So I moved back home. With the intention to kind of like start a YouTube channel, you know, been wanting to do it for a long time. That was my goal. And as you can see, this is like the second video I posted in the span of what, like 2 months. I moved back home in January, quit my job, where I was making more money than I am now, and had like, you know, I was able to contribute to like my savings and shit, which was good, but I was just working so fucking much. I was doing like, I was a traveling like security technician. That was my role, which means I would go in a company van, which means I would go in like a company van with a partner and just like travel state to state doing like installs on like security shit, right? So I'd be running like Cat 6 cable, all that motherfuckers. I'd be running like Cat 6 cable on like, you know, rat infested ceilings in stores. Yeah, it was asshole. It was ass. That wasn't fun anyway. But, you know, I got to make some money, and it was cool. I got to travel a bunch of different states. It was fine. For what it was fine. But I didn't want to stay there because I was like, dude, I need to be doing, like, I'm using so much of my time doing some shit that I don't even care about. And I don't want to stay here next year, so let's just quit this now. And, like, at least that way I'll be able to kind of use that time to move towards, like, goals that are personally important to me. And, you know, key in that was, you know, starting a YouTube channel. Now, like I said, this is only the second video I posted in the span of like 2 months. And I've been kind of thinking about this whole idea of like goal setting and like just desiring these outcomes, right? Like being so focused on like, I need to do this. And ultimately, that does not do well with me. Like, I don't really perform well in that scenario, as you can see. And it's not like any of this shit's like new to me. Like, I've wanted, you know, essentially the same thing since I was a small boy. You know, I've always liked YouTube. I've always liked creating in different like mediums. Like, I've always enjoyed media as well. Lots of similar words there. Like, I would always rotate through like the same like 5 interests, which would be like music, writing, like, you know, like drawing, like painting, like actual like physical like art, and then like video. Like that. Like those are my things, like that I've always cared about, and I rotate through them. And I would kind of have this approach to where it's like, okay, I'm just gonna do one of those things very well, and then whenever I do the one thing well, then it will open up doors later for me to do other things that I like. So YouTube, I chose YouTube. I was like, I'm gonna make the same fucking type of video every week, so that I can develop a consistent audience, because they need to have something to rely upon. They need to have a schedule that's reliable, and a format that's reliable, and a subject matter that's reliable. And then people will come for, you know, the subject matter at first because they don't know who you are, which is a fair assumption. And then over time, they will develop a bond with, like, you know, your personal insight and like your sense of humor or whatever the fuck. And then they'll like have an appreciation for you as a creative or an artist or a creator or whatever. So that's what I need to do. And I've never done that, ever. I've tried for fucking literally years. I would have all these ideas. I'd write so many fucking like video ideas out. I'd start developing a script, and then I'd just be like, dude, I don't want to fucking do this. Like, it sucks. Like, this video I've been thinking about for, you know, literally like 3 weeks at this point. Like, I've had the script written 3 weeks ago. Or 2 weeks ago. And I had that first part filmed 2 weeks ago, and I just haven't been able to bring myself to do it because I'm like, I don't want to. Like, I just want to kind of. I don't like having that type of structure, that it's almost monotonous. Because if there's just like one thing I have to do, and it's like I have to kind of apply this outside structure that doesn't reflect my internal like values at all, but it's all this external thing that I'm trying to like shape myself into. It doesn't really benefit me. It's also not easy for me to do. It's also not fun for me to do. So it just turns into work, just toil. And that's not exciting, especially when I'm already working, you know, throughout the day or whatever. And I come home and I'm like, oh, like, yay, I get to, you know, write this video. It's like, I don't even want to write a video. You know what I mean? I like writing. I don't really, you know, but that's like a different thing than like writing a YouTube script. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think the point is that I've been thinking about, I've also been watching a lot of Dr. K, who has been talking about motivation styles and like different and like shaping your external world to match your internal world, right? And how that is going to be more beneficial for you than trying to do the opposite, which I agree with, because doing the opposite has not really served me very well in my 23 years of life in accomplishing, you know, pretty simple, straightforward goals. Like, truthfully, the goal that I have is a simple one, right? It's not complex. But I think that's the wrong approach to like desiring or achieving what I want. It's kind of the wrong. I've been playing the wrong game. Hold up, I gotta stop talking. These people are. This dude looks like he's drinking a beer, bro. I'm gonna have to get gas, guys. For example, going back to the job I had. So like this, whenever I was like, okay, I've got to do this for 12 more months. I gotta install these fucking shits for 12. I don't want to get too specific because like I had to sign a contract or whatever. Whatever. I have to do this manual toil for 12 months for a company that I don't care about at all. For people that don't really care about me. It's just like, why am I would think about that all day. Just like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, what? I'm gonna, like, if I died, would I be okay with what I'm doing right now? That's kind of a big question. But, you know what was interesting was that time in that period moved slower than it does right where I'm at right now. Like, time moves slower. I would be at work for, like 12 hours, and then I'd come home to an Airbnb with my partner and like 2 other guys. And those times would be honestly like really cool. Like, I enjoyed those times. Like, just like, especially, you have a day off, like one day off a fucking week, and then like you just kind of like hang out. And it's like, I remember one time when we had a group of us in the house, we played, UFC 4 for about 12 hours also. We worked an extra shift playing UFC 4. And that shit was so fun because there's an interesting like dynamic that emerges when you're doing something like that. Because I was away from home, I was away from my friends, away from everyone, my girlfriend, whatever. And I just kind of accepted where I was in the beginning. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this for, this much time. I just accept it. It is what it is. And it's like this time isn't even really mine. I don't know if that makes sense. But whenever I did that, like outcome independence, I was happier in those moments. Because then it's like, then the time that I got to do shit that was cool, like hang out, we went on like a couple hikes and like went to like Yosemite. Just went on a couple like, because we were in like cool places. We were like, oh, this is nice. Those times were very valuable because I was in the moment a lot. I was in the moment more than I am now. And I think the reason is because now I'm like, okay, with the time I have to be doing something. Like, I have to be creating like a thing. Like, something has to be happening with this time or else I'm failing. Which isn't conducive to contentment. And I think it makes, and then it puts pressure on me to like be making a YouTube video or whatever the fuck I'm doing, which is exhausting. It turns something I like into something that's exhausting. Because I'm placing all this artificial weight on it. And then, I just lay in bed on my days off, and now I'm like, I don't want to do anything. I just want to play League and like, numb myself for fucking 8 hours. And I was talking to my girlfriend last night, because she was on TikTok or whatever, sent me a TikTok. We were talking about like why are you just scrolling for 8 hours? Because I do it too. I was just like, why is that like a thing that we do? And then she was like, I think it's like kind of get out of your own head, like kind of, because it distracts you from your mind, which is true. And then I was thinking like, man, I think overall it'd be better to just like have your mind be a place that is comfortable to be, to have your mind be a place that you don't need to distract yourself from, because you're going to be with it for the rest of your life. So that's kind of how I'm trying to approach things recently. Outcome independence, almost like goal independence. I'm trying to move towards like filling my time with things that I enjoy, and then letting the chips kind of fall as they may. Because when I work backwards from like a goal, it like destroys me, which is fucking weird. And then when I kind of don't have many goals, things are more fun. Like, I just got back into fucking making beats, and that shit's so fun because I'm not trying to make a song, but I'm just doing shit. I'm just playing around. Like, it's fun. I can do that more sustainably compared to me saying, okay, I have to make a song a day. Because then I'm like, okay, I have to go fucking do this fucking work. And it's like I don't want to. Because my motivation is depending upon like this goal rather than me just being like, I had fun making a song yesterday. Let's do that again today because it's cool. You know what I mean? Not that you shouldn't, value consistency. Consistency is dope. Don't create a ton of artificial boundaries, I think that's kind of the thing I'm learning. Don't create these artificial like choke points that you have to like navigate in order to feel like you're accomplished, feel like you're doing something. And I'm gonna be real, I think this kind of like loosely relates to what I've been talking about prior to this in like the video about like Sam Sulik, but I mean it's similar. We're under the umbrella of like talking about goals. But yeah, I'm going to get coffee right now, and I was just like on the way to get a coffee, I want to do this, because the alternative was for me to like get like a script and then just have to fucking nail it, and that takes like 45 minutes of me fucking up a sentence over and over, and then me having to redo it and say, well actually Sam Sulik, and then it's like, dude, that's fucking hellish. That's not what I want to do. Like I don't even watch like those YouTube videos that are scripted. Like I don't even like watching that shit, so why am I trying to fucking do it? It's weird. Doesn't make sense. Just some shit I've been thinking about. And I think those are kind of things I want to be more conscious of as I move forward. Also, dude, I got this fucking mic to work. This shit was like, I had to like factory reset it like 10 times and like update it and shit. Why doesn't it just come out of the box like already fucking prepared to be used? I had to look up so much random shit to fucking do this. It was wild. Yeah, man. Okay, this is going to be a long one. Marcus Aurelius said, begin each day by telling yourself, today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness. Fuck. Marcus Aurelius once said, begin each day by telling yourself, today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness. All of them due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil. But for my part, I have long perceived the nature of good and its nobility, the nature of evil and its meanness, and also the nature of the culprit himself, who is my brother. Not in the physical sense, but as a fellow creature similarly endowed with reason and a share of the divine. Therefore, none of those things can injure me, for nobody can implicate me in what is degrading. Neither can I be angry with my brother or fall foul of him, for he and I were born to work together like a man's two hands, feet, or eyelids, or the upper and lower rows of teeth. To obstruct each other is against nature's law, and what is irritation or aversion but a form of obstruction? So that was a long paragraph, and I messed up a couple times reading it. Essentially what he's saying is, yes, tomorrow's going to be bullshit. Your girlfriend's going to call you asking if you loved her if she was a worm. You're going to hit your friends up saying, yo, what's the move for tonight? And they're going to say, we're tired. We're probably going to stay in, to be honest. And then 3 hours later, in the middle of your league game, you're going to check Snap and see them all together at the bar. And you'll realize, oh, maybe I wasn't the move for tonight. And then the Jungle Graves, who's going 3-8 and hasn't captured a single objective, is going to type about how no one's listening to his callouts, and that's why you're losing. Not because the enemy jungle has captured 3, dare I say 4, dragons at this point and has pressured every lane while he has been power farming for the late game comeback that is bound to happen because that's how Graves works. The point is, there's never going to be that storybook ending. There's never going to be that break in your life where now finally people start taking you seriously as a photographer and everyone lines up to give you shoot opportunities. Or finally you've hit that point in Muay Thai where you're winning every sparring round and you don't have to go to training 3 times a week anymore. Or now you can start that business because you're out of school and all of your other responsibilities have magically vanished and the motivation you didn't have then has finally spawned in and you can just start your niche Y2K clothing brand at level 18 without doing any early game farming. None of that shit's real. You will never be happy. You will never achieve this as a state of being. You're not going to age up to a point in your life where everything is aligned for you and you don't have to endure the bullshit anymore. You're always going to have to sit in traffic. You're always going to have to wash the dishes. You're always going to have to pick up your dog shit. Excuse me. And you're always going to have to encounter that person in a conversation where it seems everything you say is just a sentence in between sentences they're saying. Like they're just waiting on you to finish saying your dumb shit so they can get back to talking at you without engaging in anything you've actually brought up. While also still agreeing with you somehow, but you know they aren't really listening. I just really don't like those people. But maybe somewhere within the monotony of daily life and the abstract hopes of conquering your inner demons and finally feeling happy, like it's something to be achieved once and for all, like finishing an online personality test, maybe you could be something greater. A human. Bullshit and all. That was a good wrap up. Now let me give you a behind the scenes of while I've been reading. I've just been looking at, at League of Legends. Because if I didn't have anything to do after this, I wasn't going to read this whole thing. Because I'm lazy.
Goddamn Gucci, Louis, 3 bar logo. These niggas goddamn.
Yes! Yes! Of a woman, boy. Tears of a child, boy. In a foreign land, boy. Single file. We burn to it, burn.